jumped off. I was going to have him hop on. So we've already met Jan. Amy, we appreciate your time. I am going to let you start in. Hopefully we will have some people jump on. We normally have, like I said, between about 15 and 25 people. So fingers crossed here, because it's their loss, not yours. All right, my dear. So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, about Zoe, and what's going on in your world, how long you've been in real estate, blah, blah, blah. And then it's all yours. You tell me what you need from me.
Okay. And then there, I see the share screen, so I can go to things.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Well, so now, did you say most of your people, Laura, are dual career?
No, actually, we're split. Jan and Tiffany are both full-time.
Okay. I was going to say, I actually did start as dual career, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, so I'd had my license 4 years, and I wanted a career that I could raise my child with and have flexibility. I owned a marketing agency prior, which is going to make my listing presentation so different from anybody else's. Like, I used to actually teach the listing class in my other market center. Oh, you probably didn't know that. And then I mentioned to them, it's like, but I do mine different. They're like, well, can you teach the KW way? And then how did you convert it to your way? And so it was fun, because I also knew the standard one that everybody else used. And my entire presentation is combating how to beat somebody with the standard listing presentation.
Love it.
Yeah, without actually having to say anything about, nobody ever had to ask me questions. I knew exactly what I was combating against, which is fun if you can answer those questions and make them choose you and never have to answer anything they ask, because you already answered. You
love it
without sounding negative. So I had a marketing agency, and I got my license so I could, I want to be at school functions for my daughter. I wanted to be at everything. And finally, I found the career that I always wanted to be in. But I went straight into listings then. So that's kind of the fun thing for me, was I did more listings my first year than buyers. And they say that a new agent can't. And I beg to differ. I believe that, I was dual career. I was rookie of the year for my market center. I was in a different market center before I came here. I came here 2 years ago. I was in the other market center for 2 years before I came here. And when I started, I was dual career. I worked full-time for my marketing agency. I was a full-time mother, a single mother. I'm actually getting married in 2 months. Yay. But I did more listings. Every single person says you're going to do more buyers your first year than listings. And I was like,
mindset.
Yeah, mindset. They say that you can't get the listings because you don't have the experience. And I believed that mindset. Like, I never had one person ask me how long I was an agent. Thank God. Not one person, because how I presented myself said everything. And I beat person from 20 years and more day after day. Somebody would say, hey, you've got to meet my friend Amy to list your house. I would go in and crush it. But I never once said anything about how experienced I was. So fun thing with my listing presentation, it's all about them, not me. So that was my way of combating the fact that I had zero experience whatsoever. And then, I ended up rookie of the year. I was actually number 7 total person out of the whole market center.
Wow.
In my very first year, I was in the top 10. They said rookie of the year is not typically in the top 10 of the entire office. They put me on the ALC up there, and I was the one they asked to teach the listings class. So I was teaching the listings class 1 year into the business. And I thought it was kind of funny, because I was like, but didn't you guys all say that don't go after your listings your first year? So I found that funny, because to me, every single thing is a myth. Every single thing they say you can't do is a myth. And there's a million people in real estate that think but they're not experienced enough for this. Oh, this person might be better for that. You got into real estate for a reason. You got into it because not just to go show homes and unlock doors. You got into it because you wanted to be an expert on homes. And right now, go for listings.
Oh, for listings. That's right. Because we all know how tough buyers can be.
Yeah, and
finding them a home.
With having the child, but I do have a buyer's agent now that works with me. About a year and a half into the business, I got a buyer's agent. I don't have time to show homes. I simply don't have time. My daughter's 9 now. So when I got into the business, she was 5, and I didn't want to show homes. I don't want to work nights and I don't want to work weekends. So plain and simply, I could send her to school during the day, but I didn't want to work nights, weekends. So listings was the answer. And if you never bring up your experience, nobody's going to ask if you sound confident. Kind of like everything in life, how confident do you sound? And so I absolutely love listings, Laura, and it's been my I've never walked into a listing presentation and lost. But it's confidence. So
tell us a little bit about, I'm going to let you take it, but I want you to tell us about how did you gain that confidence? What did you do and how did you get there?
Okay. So, funny thing is, I don't, in my entire presentation, I don't sell me. I go in and I'm selling them I was told, probably 20 years ago, I was in charge of new product development. I have a JD MBA, and I worked for a building products manufacturer. I would start new divisions for the company. Well, then they say I have to train the new sales reps for that division. And I'm like, what? I don't do sales. I'm not a salesman. Like, I thought the word sales was an insult. People now, they say, oh, Amy, you're such a good salesman. I'm like, no. I'm 41 and we're still not going to call me a salesman. I'm an educator. And I do not want to be a salesman. It almost makes me cringe. If I think I'm going in somewhere to make a sale, it makes me cringe. I hate it. Well, they had me, I had to go into meetings with big buyers for my company's product while we were training the sales reps. So I knew all the data. I knew all of the data in the world on the product my company was selling. And they then hired a sales coach for me. They hired the sales coach for me, and he was watching. He's like, why do you hate sales so much? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like shaking going into a sales meeting. He said, you know more data than anyone. I can go have 20 people go sell that same product, and you know more data, and the others can just talk fancy words. And he's like, you should be more confident than any of those other people. And then he told me, he said, when you go in, you act like that's already your clients. And those words have been in my head pretty much for the last 20 years. He said, that is your client when you walk in. Because I was literally shaking. I would sweat to walk into a sales meeting. I hope this meeting goes nowhere beyond here. But
no, please don't choose me.
But no, he's like, you are so confident on the information. He's like, I can ask you 100 questions and you can answer it. Like, I can ask any of the other sales reps and they can't answer those questions. He's like, you know data. I will research before anything. He's like, walk in and say, that's my client, and I'm educating them. So when I changed my mindset to, I am educating the person I'm walking into, and they need my product. I'm not selling them a product. They've already decided to buy my product. And if you think about it, they're taking a meeting with you because they've already decided to buy your product. They already want to sell their home if you're going into a listing presentation. So in my eyes, I'm not selling a product. I'm educating them how I'm going to do the job. And when I walk in with that confidence, I have 100% success rate of getting a signature on the spot. So,
okay.
I'm horrible in lead generation. I am sphere of influence like crazy, But my main goal when I'm going in there, my main goal is I care about building rapport, because I want to create a lasting impression for them to always want to use me. They're never going to call another agent. To where if I create that strong of an impression, I don't care what somebody else says to them in 4, 5, 6, 7 years when they want to sell another house, I am the only call they're going to make, because I believe in marketing. And I was more of a market researcher and a marketing strategist, but I've never been a salesman. And I still will claim that. Even though I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. But I believe if you go in and you give strategy that outweighs another person's strategy, you just educated with a good process. And that's what wins, education. So my whole thing is to create a lasting impression. That is the only goal on my mind is the lasting impression. My goal when I walk in is not to get a listing agreement signed. And every single time I walk out with a listing agreement signed.
Do you keep a hard copy with you when you go in? Tell us how that unfolds. What typically happens from the first call to when you get to the house, and then after that, where do you go?
Okay. Well, and I'll give you an example of a really funny one. This was when, so I've had my license 4.5 years, and one of my favorite listing agreements I ever got signed was signed in less than 10 minutes of walking in the house. And I was scared to death walking in. This was probably 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I was given a referral to, actually I found out later, it was the vice president of finance for John Deere.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. And so he was calling 3 different people. 3 different people were coming in for an interview. And it was in the Trophy Club. They were relocating. So I go in there. Of course, I know my data. I know that I will tell you, and this is what I do before I go in. I will have a copy of a listing agreement to where there will be a few things not filled out, like price, date, handful of things like that. Everything else will be filled out about their home. I will know every single bit of data on that neighborhood. This is how obnoxious I am. Like I go in to this man, and this is before I really developed my new listing presentation, which has a key factor that I think you guys will actually enjoy. I go in, this man is high D, get to the point, you need to like fast. I go in and like, okay, can you show me around the house? This is a standard listing presentation. They say you can either go around the house yourself. A lot of times they suggest go around yourself so it doesn't take an hour. Or for me, I don't believe in that. I want to get to know what they love about the house themselves, because again, I'm building rapport. At the end, I like every client to be a friend at the end of the day, and they're gonna, refer me for life. But so I asked what their timeline was. The husband did not want to sell, he said, for about 90 days. The wife said she wanted it done immediately, and she was fine going into an Airbnb until their move had to happen. She did not want the stress. They also had a 2-year-old. She did not want the stress of showing the home. She wanted it done. Okay. We get less than 5 minutes in the house. He says, "What would you list it for?" I'm like, we're not even at a table. We are upstairs. We just walked up the stairs. What would you list it for? I was like, well, he said, no, what would you list it for? $545. He told me to leave. Like I like looking at Laura's expression. He told me, okay, that's all I need to know. There's the door. And I was like, would you like to know why 540? He said, or I asked him, what's so offensive about that? He said, I have learned my whole life you do not overprice a house. And I was like, I 100% know not to overprice a house too. He's like, house isn't worth $545. I was like, I know it isn't. I said to him, I was like, well, when your wife gets tired of showing, she's going to convince you to sell the house. Every single house in your entire neighborhood in the last 6 months sold after one price reduction. So when you're done with showing the houses and Sarah convinces you to sell, then we drop it to 530, which is exactly what it's worth. And every single one of them had a contract within 7 days after one price reduction. Every single home in that neighborhood, one price reduction, and it was sold in 7 days. So I was like, and then you guys can match up on when you actually would like to move. When she's tired of it, we drop the price. We get you under contract. He said, if you have a listing agreement with you right now, I will sign it. He said, I have never signed for a 3% commission before, but if you have one you can pull out right now, I'll sign it with no questions asked.
And you had it.
I pulled it straight out of my briefcase and he signed it within 10 minutes of me walking in that house.
Wow, that is a good story, because it doesn't
Cool.
usually happen like that, but it just shows you if you know your data and you're prepared,
Yes.
why not?
But I couldn't believe that he actually was called, like he already knew the price of the house. So he actually called the third interview while he was signing and said there's no need to come.
Oh, wow.
So he already did have a meeting with one. It was easy. The house was worth 530. So, but needless to say, they did close at 545. With me coming from the marketing background, I believe in writing my description. It always says property description, and I believe that that's your sales pitch. So, and
romance of the house.
Yeah, and I'm placing that buyer in that home to where their emotions are feeling like they're going in that home. And when you say something like that to people, well, no, this guy didn't care. He was a high D. He wanted out. But I'm really good at getting people the highest possible dollar for their home. If they want me to explain the marketing process, I will. I love explaining it to them. And that's the part that makes them love me forever. So I wrote that description to place a buyer in that home. They had the most basic, zero upgraded home in the neighborhood. There was not one upgrade from the builder. Their home was the basic of basic. It was not worth a penny over 530. There were some that were already a little upgraded that sold for 530, same floor plan. And so 530 was pretty much what you should get. Well, the description was actually really good that I wrote. And we had a contract within 4 days for 545. Then the client said, what are you going to do? It's not going to appraise. I'm like, so whatever it appraises for, you get top dollar. What's the worst case? What's the worst case? If they appraise it for 540, you get 540 unless, we want to negotiate. But I was like, but I also have another plan. You can change the description. I do not do this all the time. At that point, I needed to change that description to the appraiser. So I changed the description to the appraiser at that point. That like iron spindles, art niches, all these things that were basic in that neighborhood were not basic in the neighborhood next to it.
Okay.
So an appraiser would add value for some of these if they don't think, but I did not one lie in there, but it was not, it was basic. For that
did you go
neighborhood.
back into MLS and rewrite it, or did you just rewrite the flyer? You went into MLS and
because
rewrote
when
it.
I wrote the description, my description is to the buyer to place themselves in that house.
Right.
After we're under contract, and I've only had to do this 2 or 3 times. At that point, my job is to get the top dollar for that seller.
Right.
I rewrote and added in things that sounded like value, like they were upgraded things. I didn't say they were upgraded.
You just pointed them out.
I pointed them out. And there were things that were not standard in different neighborhoods, but they were.
Okay.
So every comp in this neighborhood, they were standard for it. But the appraiser didn't know that. So an appraiser actually gave us more value thinking these are all upgrades. I never used the word upgrade.
Gotcha.
Nothing. But they gave value thinking we had an upgraded house because they didn't research the other houses enough to find out they all had the exact same stuff and more. So that was actually pulled value.
That was her plan B. Once she got the contract, for those of you that have not done this before, you can go in and adjust your listing. It's your listing. The main reason is, and the main thing she just said is, her job at that point was to get that house to close.
Yep.
at the highest possible price for the seller.
Yep.
So I love that you've got a couple of little tricks up your sleeve. So tell us what your listing, what your typical, not that one, but what your typical listing appointment might look like. When do you first talk to them? First of all, where do you get your sellers? You said your sphere.
Yeah. So with my opinion being creating a lasting impression.
Okay.
I am 100% referral. I am 100% referral. And the funny thing is, so my third year of business, so 2019 was my third year of business. And I have one buying agent. She does not produce. I was told not to hire her because she's not a salesman. Needless to say, I didn't need a salesman. I needed a customer service rep. My clients love her, but she does not bring in leads, but she just shows. So in 2019, we were the #1 team for KW Plano at almost 15 million. And every single thing is 100% referral. And it's
from the beginning. How was it in the beginning for you?
Okay. In the beginning, referral. I'm huge into how you present yourself on social media. I believe if you have success in anything, you say it. I know social media is patting yourself on the back, but I'm willing to do it. I do mix business and pleasure. Some people won't go and post a picture of their kids. I believe if you're going to let me come into your home, and learn everything about your family, then I'm going to have to invite you into who I am. If I'm unwilling to share who I am, then how can I actually expect you to trust who I am? Like, I want to get to know you, but I'm not willing to share who I am to you.
That doesn't make sense. So for those of you that were on the call this morning, one of the things that he said was, we have a business where there's room for humility. There's always somebody that might be better than you, but there's not room for being humble. You cannot be humble and be in this business. You're out there. So I love that you do that. Okay, so that answers that question. So I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's all social media. But now the fun thing is, I will not go and post. Look at my listing. I will post stuff about, like, I'm the first one I know of that was using the virtual staging. So I'll show you guys examples. This is the conversation. I try to get every single listing presentation, even if that person does not need virtual staging. I will work it into the conversation because they will tell every single person they know about it. And then every single person they know will use me to list their house. Yep. And I can make it to where they're not going to ever use somebody else because their situation is one way the first time. Like, all their stuff is still in the house. Next time they might want to move first. And everybody is getting conflicting information about, is it better to sell a house vacant? Is it better to sell a house staged, or with your stuff, you still living there? What's the best way? And I truly believe every buyer has a different preference on how they want to see that house as well. And my whole head works around the marketing. How do you present a home in the best light? So how do you present a product in the best light to have this product chosen over this one on the exact same shelf? You've got to somehow reach the buyer in an emotional way, make them feel warmer, more welcome to buying that product. It's going to work better for them. I'll show you how fast I can get to virtual staging in my listing presentation.
Okay.
I have, so I actually do nicely have this, it's a heat bound little thing. It is beautiful. It's wonderful. Lots of crap in here that we don't look at. I put it down.
Where do you get it done? And do you use one basic one and then just it's generic, or what do you do? Is it specific?
I just print it, and I actually, the office actually has a heat binder. It actually has heat binders. So I have some of these. If anybody wants to see them, you can get them from the KW Red store. But I actually have an office here in the office. Mm-hmm. If anybody actually wants to contact Laura or get in touch with me or anything, I can show you, I have some of these.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have them and I buy them, maybe 20 at a time or 25 at a time or so. I love it. It looks nice and high class. But guess what? You can also have it in any of those clear binders. Anything will work.
Right.
The fun thing is, I'm not going through it with anybody. I have no intention of using this, but it sure does.
It's really a
nice.
prop. It's a prop.
Yeah. So my listing presentation is a solid prop. I do not use it in any way, shape, or form. So I put it in front of me and I'm like, okay, this meeting's not about me. I could go through this page by page, but I think that's going to bore you to death. So why are you moving? Why are you thinking of listing your home? And do you know how many agents are going to go through their listing presentation page by page by page? Now, if you have a high D like that guy that was the vice president of finance for John Deere, he's going to kick you out of the house. So you got at that point, if I know somebody's DISC personality assessment, then I can already tell you my presentation is going to change. If they're an I, I'm planning 2 hours for that meeting. If they're a D, come out within 30 minutes.
Well, for those people that may not be familiar, we're talking about a personality assessment. I'm going to let Amy explain what it is.
So actually, Laura, I love DISC. So D is typically a driver. So there's 4 different, it's D, I, S, and C.
Right.
D is a driver. So you're going to have a lot of executives that are Ds. I am a D. I am not.
No.
And everybody thinks I'm an I. I am a, oh gosh, I can't even think of the proper word, but I've had to become an I. I am not an I in any way, shape, or form. I'm a D.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Laura, no. Somebody wants to come to me, I'm like, get to the point or get out. And it might not be a good thing to say, but I am a D. I am get things done. I get things done the most efficient, effective manner and quick, move on. I've become an I because I believe I haven't become one. I'm an adaptive I.
Gotcha. So one is your natural behavior. The other one is your adaptive behavior to make certain things happen.
Absolutely.
So you're aware of who you are as well as being able to judge your clients.
Yes. And I can adapt to anything that I believe my client is.
Okay.
That was what I have gone through training on DISC. And so except C and S, C is cautious.
Right.
You're going to have a person that's more fearful and they've got more questions about, but what about this? But what about that? And then you have the S, which is what's a good way to explain the S, Laura? Like
very detailed.
Stable.
Very detailed.
Yeah, like steady, stable, like detailed.
Yeah.
Like I think you're going to have more like administrative assistants.
Right.
Are typically classified as an S.
And tell them what the I is.
Oh, the I is crazy. No. The I is the talker. The I is the influencer, isn't
right?
Yeah. So most salespeople, I believe, are probably in the I direction. And if you're going up to an I, plan for a 2-hour meeting because just let them talk about themselves.
Yep.
If you let them talk about themselves, like
they love you.
They love you. Yeah, they love you so much. But a D, to the point, absolute to the point. If you're across like an S and a C, you don't have to, I don't think, go a specific, you don't have to really plan for that meeting as much. An I, you better plan for more time. And a D, you better plan for a short time. And so I guess I would be considered a DI now that I'm more of an adaptive I, but like salesman. So a salesman is going to be more of an influencer. But I'm not an I. Like when I'm doing business for me, I am a D. I am to the point, get it done, get out of there as fast as possible. But I also
model and match your clients is what you're telling me.
Absolutely. And that's why I don't believe in following a set listing presentation, because now you can follow a set listing presentation if you have an S or a C across from you, I think. But an I is going to get you so far off track.
Yeah.
It's going to be nearly impossible, I think, with an I to even follow page by page. And then a D is going to get mad if you go page by page. So I think you have to get to the point. If they want to go further into anything, they will let you. So my
Okay.
listing presentation can be done like that. But they will go the direction they want to go. In my mind, there's one direction I want to go, and that's to get them to learn about the thing that I am so different on, because I know I have them sold the second they learn about it, and they will tell everybody they know about me.
Okay. So tell us what does that look like?
Okay. So I am going to, this meeting is not about me. It's about you. So why are you moving? Okay, perfect. Then my job is to help you get there. And again, that confidence that I come across with, the confidence I have that I already have that job. I don't say if you hire me. Not one time in the entire meeting do I say if you hire me. I basically act as if like an assumptive close.
Gotcha.
I already have that deal. That's mine. That's my client sitting across from me, and I'm showing them how we're going to get the job done.
This is my listing if I want it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have walked away from them too. So, but so then because I want to get straight to the point of they love me and they've already decided they're going to use me within the first 10 minutes. And then I ask them, well, are you needing to move first? Or are you wanting to live in the house when you are selling and having showings while you're living there? Or do you want to move first and do like a bridge loan or any kind of method like that? And then we have a vacant home, but tell me what your plan is. And they'll say, we don't really know. They might have heard from one person that selling a vacant home is better and going through the showings is a nightmare right now. I'm sorry, you can be done in one day. Just go out for the day. Go out for lunch. We can have your house sold.
That's right.
Like, seriously, just have a lunch out of your house. We'll take care of that. One open house for 2 hours and you're done. But I won't ever say that to somebody, even in today's day and age. I won't say that because I want them to actually still think I'm working. I've had somebody say, if it's so easy, why do we need agents? So
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make it sound that easy, even though, trust me, it's that easy. But so do you want to live in the house or not? If they say, most of the time, what do you suggest? Do you suggest a vacant home? And it's like, well, this is up to you. This isn't about what I believe is easier for me. This is about what works for you and your family. And I'll tell you, almost every other agent is telling them exactly what to do. And it's a breath of fresh air for them to hear, I'm saying I can work around you and what you want. And they don't hear that often. They don't hear, and most people are giving them specifics. And I'm asking them. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me give you an example. That's exactly what I want to get to. I'm going to get to screen share. So, well, my thing is I want to get to the virtual staging. I had come up with this idea of the virtual staging when this was probably about 3 years ago too. Somebody called me and they wanted to list their $800,000 home in Prosper. It was 5,000 square foot home. It was already on the market for a year with another agent. And it had like a couple little chairs in the living room and all this. And I'm like, oh, staging actually sucked. But so the guy said, we need to figure out how to sell this home because I'm tired of paying for the staging furniture. And at this point, I didn't even know like who paid for all that kind of stuff. Like I would be more than happy to send in a staging consultation, but I came up really quick from having the marketing mind of, okay, half the people say a staged home is better. Half the people say, no, leave it vacant so somebody can envision their own stuff. Okay, photos that are vacant straight up suck. Vacant photos suck. You have no idea what room is what. You can't envision anything. Why do they stage
spatial
a model home?
Yeah.
Why do they stage a model home? Because it looks good. But now, if you have a complete vacant, like 5,000 square foot home, paying for the furniture. No, the listing agent doesn't pay. The seller pays. Well, I had a seller that said he paid like 18, or he had been in $18,000 already for a year of, yeah, and it didn't even look good. But he's like, a year of me paying for all this stuff sitting in the house, I'm at $18,000. He's like, how do I stop this? It's like, oh, well, we can do virtual staging. The truth is, I pulled that like out of like nowhere, by being good. I had heard about it and I was like, crap. And I learned about it really fast. And we did sell that home in 41 days, by the way. So very proud of that. But virtual staging, he's like, that sounds genius. It sure does. I don't know what it's actually going to do, but it sounded wonderful at the time. Now it's like my solid specialty. I blow everyone away with this. So once I had that one house done, this game changer. So I'm going to show you. Oh, but so my conversation with people is, you have one buyer that wants to walk in and envision all of their own stuff. Great. That's 50% of the buyers. Now you have a buyer that, no, I want to envision stuff there already. How do you make 100% of the buyers happy? So which one of the two do you want to target?
You give them choices.
Yeah. So I'm like, so if you want to move out and leave it vacant, don't worry. Well, some have had an agent say, no, it's best to have it, all of your stuff still there. And then others have said, no, leave it vacant. And I'm like, what is, like, why is every agent telling a different story? And so it really got to me. I'm like, and so now you put your marketing brain on and you say, what's the right answer? So I figured out what I believe is a phenomenal answer. And when I explain this to somebody, I want to hit both sides of, I want to hit 100% of the buyers. I want every single person to say your house is the must-have house. So here is my simple thing. I'm going to go to sharing my screen here. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's get me down this page. See, I don't show a single page of this to anybody. It looks really nice though.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, it's wonderful. All about myself. I take out the luxury pages if it's not a luxury house. Okay. I go straight down to, I'm like, well, there's a system. This is actually the house. This is the first house I did here. I have 3 examples in this one. I don't always print them all. This was a 5,000 square foot home. So on the left, those are vacant photos. On the right, staged.
Same room.
And actually, I like the next page better. Those big, that is a giant kitchen, dining to living room. Maybe I can zoom into some. I'm going to zoom in one here. You can't even see what the rooms are on the left. Well, you can see on the kitchen one.
Yeah, just that first one is just a big open space.
Like, look at
your den.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this one. You can't, I mean, it's just a big, giant vacant room. It does not say, please let me move into this house. Virtual staging, I pay for that and I tell them, like, I don't believe it's your job to pay for furniture. I believe that's my job to sell your home in the best manner I can, whether your home has furniture in it or not. But I don't believe it's your job. If you're hiring somebody, then you need to let them do it. And then I'm like, so I don't care if you have your home staged, vacant furniture, I don't really care. Either way, I'm going to find the best option to sell your home with you having to use the least amount of effort. I'm like, this is my job. Like there, you can't even tell on the left that that's a bedroom.
You would have no idea. Yeah.
This is a casita. So, you know, like a little guest house in that house. It looks real. So the photos.
And do you put a disclaimer underneath now that says virtual staging or room virtually staged?
No, because the law states that you cannot change the property. You cannot change the physical. There's not a single piece of the physical property that is changed in these photos.
Gotcha.
I do not remove anything from backgrounds. I do not change a color. If you notice, they are I don't even have the color adjusted.
Yep.
So I don't like when they actually say that it's virtually staged.
Okay.
Because I'm like, why? So yeah, why make somebody think that? But yeah, there's nothing that says you have to say that it is virtually staged. You cannot change the physical property of the home.
So have you ever had any pushback from anybody that walked in and found the home vacant?
I have had every single agent that has shown my properties that have been virtually staged ask me how I do it, and do they mind if they copy? Do I mind if they copy?
I was just going to ask you. So how did you find your virtual stage?
And I'm going to show you what I do then. Okay.
Perfect.
So here's another one. Like,
oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah. So another thing, okay, this last one I'm going to get to really quick, and then I'll, oh, see, I love, like, this is one of my favorite ones here. That one, oh, I love that. That's their loft upstairs. This home here in Dallas was very outdated colors. It was a 75-year-old couple that was selling it down in an area that we were having new generations move in. We were having, a much younger generation move in, and all of their coloring is very dark. Well, the flooring wasn't that dark, but like all of their trim is like that, like tannish, brownish trim. They have a lot of reds. Well, the younger generations want more whites, want more lighter colors. So I tell them, I'm like, I want to change. If I'm going to do virtual staging, I'm going to look at the profile more of the buyer. If the age range is changing to a younger generation, then we want to go with it, which is not a protected class, so I'm perfectly safe. I'll tell, like, the profile I'm looking, if they're younger, younger generation,
sure,
then we want to modernize our look.
We want to make it on furniture, something they can look at, right?
I can take an older home and make, or like older colors and everything, and make it look more modern based on furniture.
Yep.
There's not one difference in these. There's not one change of lighting or anything in these photos. Just added furniture. That's it. And so modernize them.
Look at what it does, how it helps people. And the job is to help the buyers see themselves in here.
Yeah. And so when I show this stuff, well, then they say, but yes, now somebody walks in the house. So let me stop the share here. And I am going to show you what I do in the house. So I should have brought this over here. I actually, because I have agent after agent say, a vacant home has never shown this good. I've never given all fives on a showing for a vacant home until this. So I put a little stand that has the photo I grabbed these stands. Let's see, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, this is 11 by 17. I printed that photo. This is a stand on Amazon.
Okay, so it's like a mini music stand, only it's a frame.
Yeah, it's like a poster thingy. And Laura, gotcha. I can get you the link of what it is. So I can pop the picture.
Right.
It's got a little clear thing, and just flip these pieces back over.
Wow.
So I place it in the exact spot that if you stood there in front of it, you view that room staged.
Do you do it for every room, or do you just use one example typically? Depending on the house.
Not bedrooms. They can figure out what a bedroom is. But yes, every an office, any of the main spots. And so I actually asked my photographer to take a photo from a few specific spots.
There you go. Okay.
So I'm like, I'd like your photo from this spot, because so my photographer actually knows what I'm going to do with the photos. Okay. And it has been like, there's nobody I've worked for that hasn't referred me to everybody they know.
That's amazing. So you actually have the photographer take the photos with this final staging, the virtual staging in mind.
Yeah. And my photographer does not do the virtual staging. I
Okay,
love my photographer, but he does not do the virtual staging.
got
But he
it.
does know that from the entry of the house, I want a photo. I typically will have one in the master from the door. So he knows from the doors because that's when somebody walks in to the rooms.
Okay.
So yeah. And I will tell you, I haven't gone up against somebody else that's talked about this. And it's very easy to get things virtually staged. But to me, it's about having that conversation and building that rapport and telling somebody, I want to make your home perfectly presented to 100% of the buyers.
I like that.
And I'll say, okay, half the agents are going to tell you vacant is better. Half the agents are going to tell you leave your furniture, it's better.
So I have a question over in the chat room. Do you only virtually stage if it's empty? What if you have someone who has furniture in there? How do you handle that?
If there's furniture in there, then I actually do have a giant collection of plants and decor stuff. I want to add pop of color.
Gotcha.
So I have learned, I've gone to actually a lot of the interior decorating classes, lots of fun. Different title companies will offer them. And so
Do you have a storage space or is it in your garage?
I actually do have a storage space.
Yeah,
It
most
used
of
to be
us
in my
do.
garage and I had a big bedroom upstairs, but the man I'm marrying has 3 kids. So needless to say, now it's all in a storage space.
Yeah, most of us do. Over time, you will start collecting and put it in a storage space. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's part of your business. So just
It is.
I'm not a CPA, but it's part of your business.
Yeah.
Enough said.
And so for me, when I go into this conversation, so whether somebody wants to have it with their stuff in it or not, I will work this into the conversation
Okay.
every single time. And then at that point, I'll tell you, there has never been another person I've gone up against that has ever had the conversation of hitting all buyers and making it easy for them. When they hear your mindset has thought about marketing, they're ready to sign. So when I go, then at that point, we discuss price and what day they're going to list. But
I love it.
I'm not trying to suggest to them, if you choose me, I would no. At that point, when we're discussing price and what day to list, they've already chosen me. Like you have this current kind of conversation about the marketing of a home. The other agents aren't doing that. They're going in and they're giving their presentation, going page by page of what they brought. So pricing wise, if they say, well, what's the market like? This is one of my favorite conversations. I'll tell somebody like, well, I could tell you what the market is like in Collin County. I could tell you what it's like in Plano. But your specific neighborhood is the only market that matters. So here's the comps for your specific neighborhood. And here's how I would sell your house against the others in this neighborhood. But I had this client that this was a few years ago, and he was just under 380 in McKinney, and it wasn't Stonebridge Ranch. Stonebridge Ranch had more desire than this small neighborhood, and had a lot more amenities and all the fun stuff. And he kept saying, at this point along 380 had not had its little boom that it's obviously having right now. And he kept saying, he's like, yeah, but all of McKinney's selling really fast. I'm like, you're like the country. You're the country. This is not all of McKinney. Your neighborhood hasn't had a sale in 2 months. So I'm like, you're overpriced. If you want to be the next one out of 15 in your neighborhood sold, then we need to do a price drop. And he would never do it. He did. I fired him after 2 months. This was one of my only firings. And he then sold it with Redfin for $40,000 lower than what I told him to price it at.
And that happens sometimes.
Yep.
You do your best, you're going to lose some. It's okay.
But I let him go because I was tired of hearing the conversations of but all of McKinney. I'm like, I don't care about all of McKinney. I care about your neighborhood. Like, you're not along 121. You are 2 blocks from 380.
Yeah. And at that time, that was way out there.
Absolutely. Now 380 is fantastic. But at that point, 121 was hot. Now 380 is also hot. But at that point, people are like, that's Oklahoma. So, yeah. Hey, I live in Salina. That's Oklahoma.
There was nothing. There were no malls. 380 was a 2-lane road. It was in the country.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, so to me, when I do discuss pricing, when we go straight to it, I'm like, I don't care about Plano. I don't care about Collin County. I care about your neighborhood. Here's the stats on your neighborhood. What would you like to price at, and which day would you like to get going?
Love it. No, you couldn't tell she's a D, right? Do you hear her energy and enthusiasm too? And
Yeah, I work with
confidence.
D's really well.
I love it. Okay. So this was like an outflow of your marketing background and who you are.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to someone who's maybe only had a listing or had a couple or hasn't had any yet and is working on it? What would you say?
Okay. Well, so to me, it's still a mindset that I believe anybody can get to. When we accepted being a realtor, I don't think you got your license to say, I know how to work my phone and open keys, open blue iBoxes and unlock a door. I believe we should know how to research MLS for pricing on the hood. And that, number one, I will not go into a listing presentation without knowing everything about that neighborhood. Like, I will spend a minimum of 1 to 2 hours looking at every sale. And that's easy. That's easy. It's really simple. When you look at how much money you can make on them, you're not showing houses all day long. This is where your time goes. And some people, I think, skimp on that side. And I don't believe if you skimp on that side, then you
don't have the data. You don't have the knowledge.
You don't have the knowledge. But if you can win listings, I mean, I did all of that in my first year, the like 160 GCI with a different full-time job and full-time single mother because I did listings.
Wow.
Because
what is your average sale price overall? Not now, maybe not even in your first year, but if you took an average of your sales, where are you? What do you think?
Right now, I would say I'm still just under 4. I'd say I'm like upper 3s is my average sales price. Now I've got the millions, but I'm more than happy to sell a $200,000 condo.
Right.
Like, I'll sell them all day long. So yeah. But so I'd say, well, no, I'm probably, maybe, never mind. The prices are going up. I'm probably 4, maybe.
You're between 4 and 5, I think. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I totally agree. It's mindset, preparation, and skills. Do you script? Do you practice scripts? How did you first learn what to say and when to say it?
To me, is it bad for me to say no?
No, you can, you're you. This is about you. Not everybody does what we tell, everybody has to find out what works for them. That's the cool thing about real estate. So I want you to be honest.
So there are people that I'm going to say script. By all means, learn the scripts. For me, I do have scripts. They're different than standard. My scripts are these simple ones about asking them, are you wanting to live in your home when you're selling? That script is purposely turning them into getting them to the virtual staging. Once I'm there, I can talk about this for 1,000 hours. My job, I believe, is to get them asking questions. I don't believe I say much. I want them to get to questions to me. When they're asking me questions about what I just showed them, they're in awe. They're like, oh, wow. So I don't have a sales script. I have I won't even ask for a close. We're salesmen on earth. But I believe if I educate them on the best marketing process, they ask me for it.
Sure. They're ready to list. So let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Except for your high D guy where you pulled out and you always are prepared with that. Do you typically go back and send them the information? Do you have it ready to go at the time for DocuSign and whatever you use, .loop? How does that play out after you've gotten them to sign the hard copy, or do you have it on a tablet and you send it to them?
Depends. So I do always have it 100% in .loop. I've been using .loop, but still, because I know how to use it and it doesn't annoy me.
I know.
Doesn't annoy me, so I'm good. I have it 100% prepared in there. I actually asked them, would you prefer to start doing everything electronic, or do you want hard copies of everything? Technically, most people say send it over to me so I can have it on my phone. I've already got their information filled out in it because I also printed a copy with their information in it. So I have it there, and they're like, well, we'll just do the electronic actually a lot of times. And then I have it like I can on my phone, I'll click send.
Got it. You have it ready to go. All you had to do was add the price and the day.
Yeah. And I say, let me know if you have any, or I might have to get their email address that I still don't have. Yeah.
Okay.
But most, or I'll do that on paper and I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to have some follow-up stuff. I'm going to send you the electronic. Everything in this whole process can be done electronic. So we don't need to, I don't need to come and get hand signatures anymore.
Right.
The only thing that I need to get your hand signature on is actually the T47.
Gotcha. Okay. So do you then send them copies, or do you expect them to keep their own? Because they have the option either way.
I send them copies.
Okay.
I always send copies. I am a huge communicator. I believe one of the biggest complaints in real estate is communication. And yeah, and so I also then I send everybody I have steps. I did make my form emails that are, hey, congratulations, you're getting ready to list your home. Here's stuff. And then I'm like, I have 5 different things. One, declutter, get ready for photos. But I might, and then I have the others just like the name listed. We're ready for listing. We're under contract. And then I copy and paste it each time. I'm more than happy to share any of that stuff.
Okay.
I have it in my Google Drive, so I just pull it, copy, paste, and then
if you just have a couple of samples, we would appreciate that. That would be good, and I can make sure everybody gets it.
Yeah, I can share any of that with you, awesome. Laura. I was going to say I could actually pull it now, but no, I'll just I can send that to you, because to me, if you communicate with them, they say we never didn't know what to expect next. And so I believe the big thing is they want to know what to expect next. And so if they see the bullet points are coming up, I write the description in only the phase we're in. So like if we're on you're ready for listing, I only have a description of what you're doing to get ready for listing.
So it's in the moment.
Then they can see the next ones are coming up. So the second we are live, we are live, that description's there, but the first bullet is still there, but there's no description anymore. So they see it's like a motion going down, so they know they're going to get the next step from me.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So it's you do have a process. See, you just don't think you do.
I do have processes. It did make life a lot easier when I had processes.
Yeah. If you would shoot me a copy of that, I'll make sure everybody gets that. Absolutely. So I think it would come up. What does your virtual stager typically run? Do you have a high and a low, or how does that, if you're going to use it, how do they price, and how did you find them? Do you use or somebody different?
There's a lot of virtual stagers online.
Yep.
Now I am going to say I actually have a personal one.
Okay.
My personal, by the marketing agency, one of my old employees, that's the only thing she does is she doesn't actually want to work anymore. But she does that for me.
Okay. But there are virtual. Do you have a
Box
for anybody out there?
Box Brownie is one that tons of people use.
Yeah.
And you can just Google virtual staging.
Right.
And there's a million of them now.
And there are some companies in DFW that's all they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. To me, the big thing is I just believe people are not using it in the right conversation. People say we can virtually stage, but nobody has that conversation to back it. Nobody says, and then when they're, because, hey, some buyers want this, some buyers want this. Okay, great. Everybody will agree online stage photos look better. Every single person will agree stage photos look better online. So do that. And then when I show them that I'm going to go and place some of these stands throughout the house, they're like, that's genius.
It is. It really is.
I've never seen somebody do that. And they're like, where'd you come up with that idea? I'm like, I don't know. I had to pull it out of thin air for that one client that said he didn't want to pay for staging stuff anymore. I'm like, sure, we can make this work.
Gotcha.
So I don't know of anybody else that does it. When I came up with that idea, it's been the conversation just flows. And if you can flow that to a client and discuss it from the marketing aspect, you don't have to come from marketing to say that.
It sets you apart.
It does.
It really does set you apart.
And that's
So
like, you don't have to have that background. You don't have to have my background to use a method like this if this is what you want to do.
So how do you, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. How do you wrap it up? How do you end it with the client? And do you send them a gift afterwards, a thank you note, a pack, anything like that, or it's strictly email? Because I know you're in close contact with your clients regularly.
Yeah, typically for me, just email.
Okay.
I know I should write the handwritten notes, but I don't.
Okay. If it's here's the thing: if it's not broken, don't fix it. If you need to start doing it, I have no doubt you would.
Oh,
you
yeah.
just don't. Right now, it's not necessary. What she's got is a system that reflects her, works for her, and is very, very highly successful.
Yeah. But my job is to make their life easier. I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about them and their life. And there's so few agents that do that. They want to talk about, here's all my stats. Here's how many houses I sold last year. Well, I couldn't say that. I was brand new. I'm like, well, my answer to how many I sold last year is 0 because I wasn't new.
Well, not too many, actually. Yeah. So that doesn't help. Okay. Any other piece of advice? And then I'm going to real quick open it up and see if anybody has any questions that didn't make it to the chat.
To me, just confidence. Get out there with confidence, and they won't
preparation
ask how
and confidence.
Preparation. If you can answer the market, you're not going to ask you how long you've been an agent. And that was my key. I killed people that like.
Do you physically visit the properties? Now you've got a basis in the beginning. Besides online, did you also visit properties before we were in lockdown and stuff, or you did it all online?
No, I mean, I would go into, I was always researching neighborhoods and so forth. I'm always, I believe, have the knowledge. This is a full-time career. Even though, yes, I was a part-time agent, you act like it's a full-time job. If you want to go and compete against the full-time agents, then you need to make it a job.
Good.
So, yeah.
Any questions, guys? You can see the energy she brings to it. There is no question that this works for her. And it's very unique. It is not something people hear all the time. Yeah. Hey, Kaiwan.
Yeah, how are you, Laura? Okay, Amy, how are you? Okay, Amy, I'm new as well. Okay, I have questions. So when you are doing their furniture, their decor or something in their houses, so how much it will cost you?
Okay, how much does it cost?
And how, are you using any third party? And how you do this one so everything will be okay? Or do you have someone who have to go in your warehouse, pick something and bring it here? Or you have to do all these things to tell them, and so I need some information for that.
Okay, so it's all virtual, so there's nothing in the warehouse going in. Are you talking about when I'm doing the virtual staging?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's nothing from a warehouse.
What about in person? What about the in person? Do you do it, or does Kim?
Yeah. So so when I'm doing, let's say I'm doing the in person, I'm doing the like they have furniture, of course they've got to declutter and everything. I do have a lot of like plants, flowers, all bunch of fake stuff that you'll find all over model homes. Thanks to Home Goods at Home, lots of fun places to shop at. But I will always tell them, so I'll take a few pictures around their house. And then I will actually, I'm like, don't worry, I'm just taking this so I get the lay of the land. And then I will come back an hour before the photographer and place all the stuff around the house. I also do bring white towels to all the bathrooms. I probably have 100 hotel white towels. And it's almost embarrassing. We're like, I don't own a hotel. If you were to see my storage when they're not in houses, it's slightly embarrassing on how many hotel towels I have. But I'll bring them in, and they're like, oh, but I'm like, nope, white looks better. Because it looks so clean. When somebody wants to go into that bathroom, I don't really care what they have in there if they're living in the house. You can go put in whatever, but the photos look better if it is white and just fluffy, and it looks spa-like.
So
So,
to answer the question, Amy actually does it. She handpicks what she thinks will go in. There are services, Kaiwan, that can do that. You can get a staging, you can hire a stager if you want to for about $250 for an hour consultation or a 90-minute consultation, or your client can do it. You can have somebody that you work with and they will come back with you and you can play good cop, bad cop. It's okay. It depends on what you want to do. So when you do virtual staging, do you provide that for your client? I thought I heard you say you do.
I provide that 100%. I do not charge them
Okay.
one penny. I
Okay,
do not
that's what
charge
I thought
somebody.
I understood.
So, okay, but so pricing on that, the different companies online, I will tell you, I think are $30 to $40 a photo. So you might want to condense some photos. I also do not believe that just because a photographer took the photo that you should be using the photo. I believe use the ones that are going to make an impact. If a buyer is only wanting to look through 5 to 10 photos, then I just don't believe, because I think you can put in 36 that you have to have 36 in. I'm going to have the most impactful photos in there. If a spare bathroom is not updated in any way, shape, or form, I'm not putting a picture of it in there.
Right.
You have a requirement for how many bathrooms. That's the only requirement you need. You don't need to see the spare bathroom if it's not updated. If it's updated, fantastic. I'm going to throw it in there. That's also how I believe I get some of the values higher, is by showing, like, I won't go and show a room that doesn't add value.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't believe, you do not have to have a picture of every one of the bedrooms. If they have and so if somebody has one that is, they're like, oh, we got a lot of stuff in here. Don't worry about it. It's perfectly, like, you've got boxes along the wall. We don't need to photograph this room. It's
right.
A spare bedroom. If they're looking for 4-bedroom, it's 4-bedroom. They can come see the rest.
Okay, good. Good.
So,
anything else? Anybody else? Oh my gosh, they're too quiet. I noticed a couple of people had to jump off.
I have one quick question. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. In terms of, like, if the home is already vacant, when you do your listing presentation, are you doing your presentation at this vacant home and everyone's just standing and we're talking, or how does that work? Because my question is, I have a few kind of downline people who are interested in listing vacant properties, and I didn't know if I want to see the property, but I didn't know if it's kind of awkward to do a presentation where everyone's just standing, since there's not actually like a kitchen table to go sit at, or.
It's not awkward, if you ask me. And I love when somebody says that it's already vacant. Like, it's a guaranteed crush it if you can tell them that you can do this. Guaranteed crush it if you can show them. And so you can even go, let's say, to Box Brownie, and you can get some of their examples. So all of these different companies online have examples that you can take their before and after. Okay. So you don't have, like, they're more than happy for you to use their examples because they're trying to get your business anyway. So be like, hey, so here's an example of virtual staging that I provide. You've got a vacant home. We need to do this. That's going to sell you for a higher value. I don't think it's awkward going to the vacant home. I've had some, though, that are already out of town, so they're not even here. So I've got to do it, on the phone, and I'll email them examples of virtual staging. Every single time I'm like, hey, let me email you over some examples of virtual staging. But now if they're in person, I'm going to bring, that is the one part of my little book. I go immediately back to the back. I'm like, I don't care about the rest of the stuff. I go straight to the back and I go to these pictures. I have that with me because I want to show everybody.
Do you bring a copy of your stand with you?
No, I don't. I do have a photo of
what
how
it looks like. Okay.
Yeah, I have a photo of of one of the pictures on the stand in front of the room.
Okay.
And so this is also how I do my social media, is I'll go take a picture of that and be like, I love when virtual staging looks so real, and yet all you do is have a stand in the middle of the room. But I don't go and say, look at a house I'm selling, look at a house I'm selling. I say, look at what I, like, the marketing of this one was so much fun.
So real quick, let's talk about having your kids using, because you use Zoe a lot.
Oh, I pimp her out. I'm sure there's probably some laws against that, but
She's adorable, by the way. She's growing up since I first knew you. But tell us, like, for example, when you're putting a sign in the yard, or you'll say, my helper this, how do you, that's part of who you are, because she's in your life.
And if somebody is offended by me having my child's not showing houses with me, period. That's not going to happen. But if I'm just going and running errands, she'll be out there. And everybody knows sign changing is not me actually going to meet with clients. That's outside. So, pictures of kids, people love pictures of kids, but it's a way to show like my personal touch of here's my fun with my child right now. And I'm a realtor, by the way, without saying, hi, I'm a realtor. It's Zoe's the best assistant, like as in it's part of your life. So yeah, so I'm like, the more I can merge that stuff, the more I'm not making a real estate post, but I am.
But you are, that's right.
Yeah.
What about, do you do open houses?
Used to. And
Now you have hours to get it done, maybe.
I need to now, but now I'm almost scared to pick up buyers.
I know. Put them in your pipeline, Amy. We'll coach on that later.
No, I'm actually, so Kim, my buyer's agent, I'm like, is it a punishment for me to even give her the leads?
I know. Right now it's tough. I got it. Okay.
So I am teaching her listings right now as well.
Good. So anything else, guys? This is your chance. It's almost 3:20. I'm going to let Amy go here if nobody has any questions. We got a little late start. All right. I'm going to say, Amy, thank you so much for giving up of your time. Y'all, she's here in the office. She's also on our ALC, and she is on our culture committee, aren't you? Aren't you the part of the culture committee?
Yeah, I'm the chair.
You're the chair. Okay. Do you want to give a quick, since you're here, do you want to give a quick commercial for Red Day? Because these are, some of them are new agents.
Yes. Well, so actually tomorrow we're going to make a good announcement at our team meeting.
Right. Never mind. We're good.
Yeah. But no, Red Day has been, the great thing is we actually get to go in person this year. So,
yay.
Because that's a day that so many agents, to me, we get to see all the other agents giving back as well. And there's something so much more powerful going as a group and doing stuff for others.
Right.
Instead of, because a lot of us have different charities that we work for and do things with, but when you actually go out as a big group, it feels good. It feels good. It feels good to get to know the other agents. I think it's one of the best ways to get to know others in the office if you're a new agent. That's one of the first times I got to meet a lot of people was Red Day. And because you could be, I was actually painting. We were painting a facility, my first Red Day. And I'm getting to know another agent the whole time as we're painting a wall.
Yep. So for those of you that don't know, one day a year on Mo Anderson's birthday, typically, or right around there, we shut down. All the Keller Williams shut down for that day. And the agents get to participate in some way, and it's chosen by the ALC to give back to the community. You can also thank Amy for Burger Days, bringing those back. We did that. It was a lot of fun, and we're going to, I'm sure, have more of those. So,
yes, the
guys,
third Friday of every month.
All right, cool. All right, so thank you so much for your time. You're always so willing to give. And guys, if you need any help, reach out to her. If you get to the point where you need open house help, this is a group that can do it for you. They've all been trained.
Perfect.
And we love you. Thank you again for agreeing to do.
Thank you for having me, guys.
We love it. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. See ya.
Bye. Thank you.